Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Video Clips. And just a couple of announcements. As some of you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, I'm doing this ongoing Cancer 201 series. I do a couple of lectures every month or so, and I think there are 12 or 13 on the website already on the platform. I'm making two more videos, doing two more lectures, making two more videos in the month of March. Hoxsey and DMSO. And by the way, what I'm doing with these is, we have our own special brand of looking into things here where we look at risks and benefits and analyze all perspectives. I've often said the gray areas where good decisions get made about a lot of things, including cancer. And so there's a tendency to have these polar opposites, people who say always, never, everybody, nobody. I think those are bad terms to use when you're talking about people's health. So it's that balanced discussion of saying it might be useful, it's a waste of time, but it could be useful under these circumstances, et cetera. So that is coming up. And then remember that a lot of you guys like to ask me questions, and one of the benefits of membership is conversations with Pam twice a month. And so if you want to ask questions about all kinds of things, that's the place to do it. Because sometimes you ask me things that I'd have to type for a long time or go through our archives to find, but in an open session Q&A, and you have access to our libraries too. So, you might want to consider becoming a member. It's very inexpensive to just get a basic membership, and depending on how much access to content you want, the price goes up from there. All right, so I've been using Wednesday to talk about personal things, more the personal end of this whole thing we're going through, as opposed to yesterday's, which was all about facts, and there's a place for both, I think. This particular inspirational story comes from the Epoch Times, which I think is still trying to do actual journalism, where they look into things instead of just the party line. And the title of the article is "Every Action, Big and Small, Makes History." So I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and make a suggestion to you. All right. Dwight D. Eisenhower was an avid reader of history. In his memoir, At Ease, Stories I Tell to Friends, the former president talks about his childhood days lost in books about Greece, Rome, Egypt, and Persia. He loved the stories about famous warriors, kings, and philosophers, the peaks and promontories, as he called it, of history. But writing his memoir in the 1960s as an older and wiser man, his view of history has changed. He's come to realize that history isn't just about the celebrities of each era, but about the actions of millions and millions of everyday people. It's their actions and decisions that have sustained the forward movement of history throughout the ages. Frank Haskell was one of his examples. A Civil War soldier that had coordinated a straggled and outnumbered Union front against a block of Confederates at Gettysburg. In 15 minutes, Haskell fortified the formation and prevented a key breakthrough by the Confederate soldiers. Haskell had acted out of his goodwill, without direction or heed to the rules of hierarchy. In doing so, he made history. This belief in the power of every individual who strives for goodness, who continues to strive for goodness against the odds, is one central to the American identity. After all, Haskell was just one individual, and so was Eisenhower. Each had his role in constructing American history as we know it. Our history may have been quite different if either of them were not there. So there's no reason to believe that you or I, who are also individuals in this nation's tapestry, would have any smaller of a role to play than they did. And I think the thing that's really beautiful about this is the equating Eisenhower, who's a person that almost anybody would recognize his name, with this guy, Frank Haskell, who almost nobody would know who he was. However, what Haskell did was just as important, maybe even more so than what Eisenhower did. So, we're living in this god-awful situation that we're in, and it's going to go on for a long time. I mean, there's no way to make it go away. Wish I had magic powers, because if I did, I would make it go away, because I'm sick of it too. So the only thing we can do is get up in the morning and, first of all, try to find something to appreciate about life. And it can be the smallest things. And you might think, well, that's so trivial, who would care? Well, somebody who doesn't have it would care. So I put on my really thick insulated mittens in the morning when I go outside to come to work. And I think, boy, I really like these. And so that's a little thing. Who cares about it except for people who don't have any mittens, right? And I think about other things that are interesting. I can afford to buy books. I have a Kindle. I can download anything I want and read. I have good food, you know. It's pretty pedestrian food a lot of days, potatoes and salads. Well, I'll tell you what, people who don't have any food would gladly take it. I have my very old little man in a fur coat, Schroeder, and he doesn't get around as well as he used to and everything else, but he's still a good little friend and I appreciate every day. And some people may say, well, you know, it's just a cat. Well, for people who don't have pets and never had one and would love to have a companion, it's a big deal. So I think that if we just think about the little things, we can keep ourselves sane. Then we take it, I want to go to what the article, the relationship to the article, if we keep ourselves in good shape, the next thing we have to do is say, what could I do that would make the life of somebody else better today? How could I help somebody? That's why I get up in the morning and do the Make Americans Free Again thing, you know, why we're doing the small business rescue. Where can I go spend money that somebody needs it? How can I help somebody who's depressed and all that sort of thing? What can I do to make somebody else feel better? What can I provide? Who can I give something to? What charity can I support that's helping other people? You know, Peter Bregan, you've heard me say this before if you've been watching for a long time. Peter Bregan says that a couple of things. One is it's hard to be depressed when you're in a state of gratitude. That goes to the first set of things I told you. It's also difficult to be happy unless you lead a purposeful life, okay? So sometimes in the midst of all the tragedy and the awful things happening, what can make a huge difference in the way that you feel is doing something, having a purpose, something to get up in the morning and do to help with. I mean, who lives on your street that could just use some company? Who could you call that needs someone to talk to? What child could you, is there somebody in your neighborhood who has a child that, gosh, if that child had someplace to go for an afternoon, the mother could get something done or the father. I mean, there's no end to the number of people needing help, all right? No end to the number of people needing help and comfort in this particular time. And if you can just impact one person a day, my goal every day before I go to sleep is that in addition to all the impact that I can have on YouTube, in my newsletter, with Make Americans Free Again and being on television, radio shows and all that kind of stuff, is can I find a person who I can do something nice for, unexpected and nice for, okay? I mean, people expect me to come in here and do nice things because they work here and we're nice people here, but somebody who would find it unexpected. And I never tell who it is because I don't really want anybody to know that I do it, all right? So your mission this week, well, every day, and maybe you'll just even keep doing it after this crisis is over, is start thinking about at least one thing, maybe a whole lot of things you can feel grateful for every day, and find one person you can do something nice for. Because that, the actions of lots and lots of people, just like us, everyday people, we're not particularly extraordinary people here. The actions of millions of people create magical things that happen, all right? So hopefully you find that inspiring. Pass this on to somebody else who you think would enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more things to say. I always have more things to say. Thank you for watching.